Hi, everyone. Okay, jumping back into Things Not Seen, we're going to start chapter 22. This is called Calls 59 and 60. When we left off, let's see. Oh, they had just gotten back from going out to Sears and gotten the list of all of the people who'd complained about the blanket. Here we go. After I'm home and after I get mom off my case for being gone so long, and after I get my door locked and put on some clothes, I unfold the list and flatten it out. I stare at the names and I think about how I got them. And I'm not proud of myself for being a sneaky thief, but it had to be done because something had to be done. Can't just sit around and do nothing. And I think about Alicia. I feel like I should call to make sure she got home okay, but she'd probably just get all hissy about how she can take care of herself. So I root around in my desk until I find a clipboard and put the list on it. Then I pull out the cell phone. I pull the cell phone loose from the charger wire, flop down on my bed, and go to work. My first 58 phone calls to the people on the blanket list break down like this: 13 phone services message that say stuff like, this number is no longer in service. 8 answering machines that I don't leave messages on. 6 husbands who don't know their wives had done any such thing as exchange an electric blanket and who couldn't care less. 5 wives who didn't know that their husbands had exchanged an electric blanket and who also couldn't care less. 6 lonely old people who remember something about a bad electric blanket, but who really just want to talk to me about their grandchildren or Wheel of Fortune or the weather or the cost of heating oil or anything at all. 8 people who hang up because they think I'm trying to sell something. 6 kids who don't know when mom or dad will be home or who say mom or dad can't or doesn't want to come to the phone and could I call back later. And 6 people, 2 men and 4 women, who are actually pleasant and cooperative but had no strange blanket events to tell me about. 58 phone calls and not one hint about anything unusual that might have happened because of an electric blanket that had stopped working properly. Mom had gotten over being mad about me going out today without telling her anything. Dad has come home from the lab for dinner, but he doesn't smile about anything. I can tell he's still churning the data. And for 2.5 hours before dinner and 2.5 hours after dinner, I'm in my room going through the names from my crumpled stolen list. I'm lying on my bed, microwaves burning up my brain, running up a killer phone bill. So it's about 9:15, and I make the 59th call. I know it's kind of late, but I skip ahead 2 names to a person who lives in Denver because it's an hour earlier there. Remember, there's that whole time zone thing. Mr. Borden? Yes. Sorry to bother you at home, but I'm doing a survey about your experience with a Sears electric blanket. A blanket? Yes, from Sears. Do you recall exchanging the blanket? Yeah, we had a pink one. It was probably my wife who did it, but it really wasn't our blanket. It was just left here. Left there? You mean at your home? The man doesn't answer at once. His voice is strained. My daughter, Sheila. That was her blanket. May I talk with her then? No, she's gone now. I hear the catch in his voice, and that certain way he uses the word gone. I don't know what to say. Oh, I'm I'm so sorry, Mr. Borden. I hope you don't mind me asking, but this is pretty important. Do you think your daughter's death had anything to do with the electric blanket? Death? He says. There's anger in his voice. She's not dead.
And that's just the heck of it. She's just gone. Over 3 years now.
I feel the hair on my arms stand up, invisible goosebumps. Gone. You mean like how? Like run away from home? Something like that?
The man blows his nose, clears his throat. Don't really know. She dropped out of college, moved back home, gets a job. Then she takes up with some of her old friends, starts staying out late, came home drunk most nights, sleeps next day till noon, gets up, goes to her job at the restaurant, goes on like that for about 2 months. Then one night she comes in late, goes to bed, and the next morning, gone.
And you haven't heard from her since?
Only once. She called, asked could we send her $2,000. 2,000 more than the four she already stole when she left. Send it Western Union, she says, to this grocery store in Florida. So I did it. Probably stupid, but if you have kids, you know why I had to do it. That was about 2 years ago. Since then, nothing. Except a note last Christmas. And it's not like it was even a card or something nice for her mother. Just one of them computer messages.
My heart stops. You mean an email?
I guess so. It's just plain letters on a piece of typing paper. Sent it to Mrs. Harlan's house next door. Then her boy made a copy on his computer and brought it over to us.
Mr. Borden, it is really important that I talk to your daughter. Do you still have that message your neighbor brought to you?
You kiddin'? My wife keeps everything. Pictures, bits of hair, baby shoes, first tooth, report cards, everything. Tore her up when Sheila left.
Could you find that paper for me?
You mean right now?
Please, if it's not too much trouble, it might be a big help.
Hang on, I gotta walk upstairs.
I'm on my feet now, pacing. I go over to my desk and open up a little notebook. My hands are so sweaty, it's hard to hold the ballpoint pen. He's taking a long time. There's a click on the line as Mr. Borden picks up another extension.
You still there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, here's what it says. Dear Mom and Dad, I just wanted to say Merry Christmas. I know I left so suddenly, but I think it was best thing for all of us. Sorry if it hurt you. I think about you a lot, and I hope I can come home to see you again. Love, Sheila.
I don't want to hear all this, but once he's started, I can't interrupt. His voice is thick at the end, and when he stops, I say, Mr. Borden, at the top of the page, is there something that has the at symbol in it? A little A inside a circle. It might even say from and then have a bunch of letters or numbers. I'm holding my breath.
Yeah, up at the top. It says from, and then there's something like that.
Can you please spell it out for me, just exactly the way it's written?
Well, it's not written, it's all typed.
That's what I mean, just the way it's typed.
It says E-I-L-I. My bad. It says EILASH, and then that at doohickey. Then it says GLOWZ, and then a period, and then NET. Net. And that's all of it.
Mr. Borden, thanks so much for your help. I really appreciate it.
Well, you're welcome, and I hope you can fix this blanket problem of yours.
Thanks. Me too. I push the button to end the call, and I see the phone wobbling. That's because my hands are shaking. Maybe this is nothing, just a coincidence, but if there is anything at all to find out, I will, because now I have Sheila Borden's email address, eyelash@glows.net. Her dad probably never even noticed that eyelash is just Sheila mixed around a little. That's probably the only email he ever got in his life. Dad and Mom are both in the study, sitting in the big armchairs on either side of the tall reading lamp. Dad is dozing, a clipboard with notes and diagrams lying in his lap. Mom looks up from her book and smiles when my clothes walk in. I sit down at the computer and she frowns. It's almost bedtime, Bobby.
I just have to use the net for a few minutes.
She goes back to her book, and when the computer is ready, I open up a search engine. I find the people search features and jump around until I see what I need. It's a reverse hunt engine. You put in an email address, and unless the person you're looking for has been a freak about online privacy, that email address leads you right to the rest of their data. So I scroll to the right box and I key in eyelash@glows.net. I've got her. Sheila Borden lives in Miami, and I've got her street address and her phone number. When I shout, Dad sits straight up and his clipboard clatters to the floor. Mom stares over her book at me. What? Oh, sorry, nothing. I just found a cool website, that's all. Because I don't want to jinx this. It's probably nothing. Besides, I don't want to get stuck trying to explain about my field trip to Sears for the rest of the night. Well, it's your bedtime, and you too, David. You've been sitting here snoring, so don't tell me you've got work to do. Up now, both of you. I grab the printout, say goodnight, and I'm back up to my room 2 steps at a time. I shut my door and grab the phone off my bed, and then I stand still. Part of me says, go back down there and talk to the folks. Tell them what you're thinking here. Ask them for some advice. But I don't want to. This is my deal this time, not theirs. Part of me says, call this Sheila right now and see what she has to say. But I don't want to do that either. And part of me says, call Alicia. That's the part of me I agree with. So I punch in her number. I'm going to leave you hanging till tomorrow. I'll record the rest of the chapter then. Until then, see you later.